Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called The Lost Wisdom and Connection Between the Druids and Vedic Sages. Uncover the ancient pathways that unite earth, spirit, and their heart's healing power. My name is Stephen Dyna. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm really intrigued to be with you here today because this is not an exploration that I've done before, and I'm always curious to explore how these different wisdom lineages have cross-pollinated each other and can offer some unique synthesis that helps us in our path of awakening, healing, and service. We're going to get to explore with a really amazing teacher. His name is Philip Carr-Gomm. He's a psychologist, author, and he's the leader or a leader of the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. He's taught a number of programs for Shift, and we're actually going to have a brand new program with him coming up called Journey to Merlin's Isle to Receive the Seven Gifts of the Druids. So it's going to be an exciting new program. We'll share more about that towards the end of the hour if you want to go further. So with that said, Philip, welcome to today's program.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, there's so many intriguing places that we could start, but it's always fun to start with your journey and really why you're curious and explored into this wisdom and connection between the Druids and the Vedic sages.
Well, it started really young for me, this interest in Eastern traditions and Western traditions. When I was 11, I was introduced to the old chief Druid in London, and that ignited my interest in the magic of Druidry, of this indigenous tradition in the islands I was living in. And at the same time, I came across Buddhism because my dad knew the chap who'd founded the Buddhist Society in London, a man with a wonderful name, Christmas Humphreys. And he'd started this Buddhist society, so our house was full of books on Buddhism. So I read a book called The Life of the Buddha, and that just absolutely inspired me. So right from the beginning, I had this interest in Buddhism and in the Dharmic traditions, as they're called. At the same time, the interest in Druidry, and those two interests have been with me for all of my life ever since. I just and just to add that one of the interesting things about Druidry is this wonderful landscape it presents to us of stone circles and sacred groves and ancient places, and so discovering that in the local landscape was just wonderful, and being introduced to that was a really significant event as well. That kind of all comes together in this course that I'm going to be doing for Shift.
Well, I'd love for you to take us a little bit into the ancient history and how there may have been connection points we're not aware between the ancient Druidic culture and the Vedic culture that fed into eventually becoming Buddhism as well in the East. And so, just to some of those root systems and what you've learned about those connections.
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's an extraordinary fact, really, that these two spiritual traditions actually share the same root because they all originated in the Proto-Indo-European civilization, where and Proto-Indo-European languages were first spoken in the southern Caucasus region about 8,000 years ago. And then they spread out, these cultures and these languages spread out as far west as Ireland and as far southeast as India. And then, of course, they developed in their own ways. So they look from the externals, as it were, very, very different. But a little bit of research shows that they share the same root. It's extraordinary, really. So let me go through the various similarities between these two ends of the Indo-European arc, because the interesting thing is, you see that in the middle of this arc, there were empires. Then there was the Greek civilization, the classical civilizations. Empires rose and fell, and so it's harder to track the similarities. But at the two ends of the arc, you can track the similarities. But maybe we can go into an exercise at this point to really experience how these work together, and then I can go into some of the historical details. Should
Beautiful.
we do
Let's do
that?
that.
Yeah. Okay, so this will just take a few minutes, but the invitation here is just to gently lower your gaze, soften your gaze, or even close your eyes to better concentrate. And just to imagine, with the power of the imagination, just imagine that you're in a sacred grove. a clearing in the forest. The wonderful thing about these clearings in the forest dedicated to communion with the divine is that they are found both in India to this day. There are thousands of sacred groves in India, even to this day. And you find this phenomenon also in the British Isles and in Ireland too. And this is where we know that the ancient Druids used to meet in ceremony, and where in India ceremonies were conducted as well. So wherever you are, just imagine you're in a clearing in the forest and slowly breathing in and out, feeling the land beneath you, the energy of the land flowing into your being, bringing you a sense of stability and calm. And you sense how the roots of the trees in this clearing travel deep into the earth and draw up the moisture. And you become aware of the presence of the trees around you as sacred beings, as guides and guardians. And you breathe in the aroma of the trees that brings you vitality and strength. You become aware of the sky above you now, and you breathe in the energy of the sky. And the energy of the sky meets the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And as you rest in this sacred grove, let's go into an Eisteddfod. An Eisteddfod is the moment in a Druid ceremony where we have poetry or song or music. In this case, we'll have poetry from the songs of Amajin and Krishna. I am the wind on the sea. I am the radiant sun among the light givers, among the stars of night. I am the ocean wave. I am the roar of the sea. I am the moon. I am the ocean among the waters. I am a stag of 7 tines. I am a hawk on the cliff. I am the wind. I am a shining tear of the sun. I am the fairest of flowers. I am the Himalayas. I am the mighty Boyne River. And just allowing those words just to sink in and allowing whatever images they have evoked just to be with you. You tune into your breath now. Slowly breathing in and then breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breath flows into this body as a nectar of the gods. Every breath is a whisper of the goddess who says, "Here is the ritual I ask of you. Be the cup into which I pour this bliss, the elixir of immortal peace." Feeling that peace deep inside, centered in yourself. You become aware of being seated where you are now, here and now, gently allowing your awareness of the sacred grove to begin to fade as you become present here and now. And when you feel ready, and only when you feel ready, you open your eyes.
Mm. Thank you. That was very evocative, and I love the way the poetry of the nectar and breath and visualization weave together. I also wasn't even aware that there was sacred groves throughout India that sort of reflect the same cathedral of nature to worship in.
Exactly. It's extraordinary, isn't it? It's so beautiful, it's so beautiful. And, the meditation began by evoking this concept that we use a lot in Druidry of the sacred grove. And the energies of earth and sky coming together in the center of your being. And then what I did is I read some verses from the poetry of spoken by Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita, and from the poetry of Amagin, from the Book of Invasions from Ireland, an ancient Irish book, and they both sound you can't tell the difference except when
Oh,
you get to
wow.
the Himalayas and the River Boyne,
That's amazing. I
because
had no idea those are
they
two separate passages.
texts mixed together,
Yeah.
because what I wanted to show was how close these things are. They're both using these statements "I am" as statements of, I am this divine being. I am one with all of the cosmos. Uh, and then we moved into being aware of the breath, and then I read slowly a quote from the Vaishnava Tantra, again an ancient Indian text, uh, which just works so beautifully, with the goddess and you being the cup, and so on.
Hmm.
And I wanted to share that with you because I think one sees immediately when you do something like that, you see, okay, yes, there's a way in which they work together very beautifully. You know. Well, I was going to say, um, so if we can look at the similarities at a cultural level, and for a start, you have the language. What's so interesting is you take Old Irish and you take Sanskrit, separated geographically by thousands of miles, and yet there are these common roots. So even the word druid actually comes from a Proto-Indo-European root, dru, which means steadfast or total connection or immersion, uh, and then later the tree and the oak tree, all these kind of meanings packed into that syllable. And then id comes from this ancient root where you get knowledge, which means knowledge, wisdom, and Veda, the Vedas. So a druid is a person steeped in wisdom, immersed in the knowledge, a forest sage. And then you have other words like in Irish, the word for a king in Old Irish is ri, and in Sanskrit is Raja. And so you get all sorts of linguistic similarities, and that's how they originally tracked it down. They've now done genetic studies to confirm this, but originally this connection was found out by linguists. Um, and then you start to look at the gods, the mythology, and you see this connection because there's these triple goddesses. In India you have Shakti, Lakshmi, and Sarasvati, and in Ireland you have the triple goddesses of the land of Banva, Fotla, and Eru. And then the three ravens or queens of battle, the Morrigan, the Baive, and the Nevin. So you have these triple goddesses. You have Danu, who gives her name to the great Danube river flowing through Europe, uh, and the goddess Danu in Ireland with her children known as the Tuatha De Danann, the children of Danu. And you have the children of Danu in India as well. So, I mean, really, really striking similarities. I mean, we've got the Thames, the famous Thames running through London, which was originally called the Thamesis, and a tributary of the Ganges is called the Thamesai.
Hmm.
So, and then we have social structures and beliefs. There's this kind of tripartite society where you have sort of kings and warriors, and you have the druids and the poets, and then the commoners or the producers. And in India, the Vedic system, you have a similar kind of division in the same way. There's a kind of fascination for ritual fire, and you have in the Druid tradition, you have these fire festivals, times like Imbolc and Lunasa and Samhain and Beltane and so on. And Vedic rituals have fire. Um, And then of course you have the belief in rebirth and the transmigration of souls, which we know, of course, is found in the Dharmic traditions, but it's also found in the Druid tradition on this side of the world too. So there are all these parallels in laws and in astrology and art and so on. So they're really quite fascinating.
Yeah. Do you so I'd love to go into some of the esoteric side of the energy anatomy and the kind of the chakra system is very prevalent in a lot of the Indian Hindu kind of Vedic lineages and wondering how does that translate also over into the Druidic?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect example. That's what we're going to explore in the course, really, because there are some teachings from way back in Ireland about the human energy system, uh, which parallel ideas of the chakras. But it's from the East in Hinduism and Buddhism and Jainism that you have the most sophisticated teachings about the chakra system, undoubtedly. But what's interesting is when you look at that contribution and then you look at what Druidry can contribute to that. There's the insight from the Irish teachings, but also, modern Druidry as well brings in all the understanding we have now of ley lines and of the earth and of the relationship that we can build between the earth herself and our own energy system. So there's a way in which with the work on ley lines, and incidentally, ley lines, the term ley comes from an original root meaning a meadow or a clearing in the forest, a bright clearing. So there's a way in which a ley line, there are lines connecting these bright clearings. So in a Druid understanding, we have these bright clearings within our energy system, as it were, that sometimes do need literally clearing, if you like, and and we can be helped to do this by relating to the land in a specific way. So that's a really fascinating idea. So you have this understanding. And we'll be going into this in the course of how particular spots in the landscape, these power sites, power centers, sacred sites, and so on, seem to correspond and to energize and to help heal particular energy centers in our energy systems, and that when we come together, when we are in contact with them, they can really help us. But what we do is there's another interesting layer to this, which is the inner work. I mean, shamans for thousands of years have known this. The Druids have known this too for centuries. Is that we don't necessarily have to displace ourselves in space. We can take physical pilgrimages to sacred places, and that's hugely powerful, as you know. I know that you do that sometimes, Stephen, don't you? You go on pilgrimages to
Hmm.
specific places in South America and so on, and so do I, and many people do. But there's a way in which you can work in the inner world with this too, and so that's tremendous because these places exist in the other world or the inner world, and we can travel there in the inner world and receive healing and energy from them in that way. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be visiting different sites in this pilgrimage, this inner pilgrimage we're going to be taking. We're going to be visiting different sites in Ireland and the British Isles, uh, which are associated with particular energy centers of the body, and we'll be working with them.
Well, I think that's so exciting because it really makes real this sort of the deeper relationship with the earth as a whole, that we're sort of like the microcosm relative to the macrocosm, and we make those connections with ecosystems and specific locations, then we're sort of reconnecting with the larger body that we're part of too. I know you're going to be going into a lot of different sites in your course, and I want to ask you about Glastonbury because it's such a site of pilgrimage and so much myth and lore around it. Maybe share a little bit about that as an example of the different layers you're talking about of energetic activation and how this serves as a bridge from human to myth to plants and animals.
Yes, absolutely. Well, should we do that by diving into an exercise and having an experience of that, and then I can talk a bit
Sure.
afterwards.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So I think it really helps if we see these exercises not as meditations, which can sometimes evoke a kind of concentration. You know, we have to kind of really concentrate. It's more if we're more playful about it, and we're just doing this playful kind of imagination of just imagining, gently lowering our gaze or closing our eyes, and just to help us go into a deeper state. We slowly breathe in, hold the breath for a moment, and then breathe out fully and deeply. And as we breathe out, we just allow ourselves to settle more deeply into ourselves. One more time. Breathing in, holding for a moment, and then breathing out fully and deeply. And just imagine now that you're in a beautiful English country garden. It's high summer. You can hear the bees buzzing. There are all sorts of wonderful smells coming from the flowers. You can catch the aroma of jasmine, honeysuckle. And you've been told that there's a sacred well, a well of the goddess of healing in this garden, beside Glastonbury Tor in Avalon. And you're starting to walk through this garden. You realize that that's where you are. You're going through, walking on the grass, seeing the trees around you, looking up at the blue sky, hearing the sound of water running in a stream. And you see before you a path leading gently upwards into the distance. And there are banks of flowers to either side of this path. First of all, there are deep red roses and hibiscus. And just allow yourself to be bathed in their energy and their color as you walk through. You can feel the energy of these red roses and this red hibiscus flowers. Walking a little further, you see to either side of you, the flowers now are gold and orange marigolds in full bloom. And you feel blessed by their brightness. Passing now great drifts of daffodils, their bright yellow heads, moving gently in the breeze. Pink azaleas and roses now. Again, you just feel them washing over you, washing over your energy field, through your aura. Hyacinths and bluebells now. There's beautiful smell of hyacinths, the beautiful blue of these hyacinths and these bluebells. Their scent intoxicating. And now there are great bushes of indigo lilac flowers. And then white lilies and jasmine. And you just look ahead of you now and you see that you've come to Chalice Well. You see this beautiful lid of the well opened with a Vesica Piscis symbol on it, these stone benches around it, the smell of all these flowers and these colors. And you sense the energy of this well, the spirit of this well. You sense the goddess Bridget in her presence. Just sit quietly now beside the well, dropping deeper into yourself, into the energy field, and feeling how your aura has been blessed by all these flowers, all these living beings that are the flowers. the colors, the perfumes. No need to do anything, no need to strain, because the work is taking place. The energies are flowing, the colors are healing you, the perfumes of the flowers are healing you too. And you ask now if you might be blessed by the water of the well. And you just imagine that you're gently moving forward and dipping your hand down into the well, the crystal clear water, picking some of this water up in your cupped hands and bathing your brow, feeling the cool energy from this healing water flowing into your aura and into your being. And then you lower your hands again and take some of this water. And if it feels right, drink some of this water now and just imagine this cool water flowing into your being. And as it flows into your being, you feel it bringing vitality and healing, energy and life. And you sit back on the little stone bench beside the well now, giving thanks to Bridget, giving thanks to the water from Chalice Well. And you move your hands now in your imagination, or you may even like to do it physically, up to your heart, placing your palms on your heart. May my heart be blessed. May my life be blessed. May all lives be blessed. And may the land be blessed. And as you do this, you feel the warmth in your heart expanding, and you start to sense the warmth in your body. And as you do this, your awareness of the body begins to grow stronger. As your awareness of being seated in Chalice Well begins to fade, and you start to become aware of being fully present in front of your screen, here and now. And when you feel ready, and only when you feel ready, you gently open your eyes.
What a beautiful guided visualization. And yeah, I love that sense of really, it's like a homecoming to being connected more deeply with the earth and nature. It's a very beautiful way to meditate and tune in.
Well, thank you, Stephen. Yes, and Glastonbury is particularly associated with the heart center, and as you moved up towards the well, the different colors from the flowers, which in the actual garden itself they've tried to plant in this way so that the flowers echo the colors of the chakras, and
Hmm.
so when you arrive at the well, the energy has flowed up your chakra system and so on.
Nice. Do you want to give a little bit more of the history and folklore around Glastonbury and the Chalice Wells so people have that context who are not as
Well,
familiar?
well, yes, we'll be going into it in more detail in the course. I mean, maybe I can just say that you have this very interesting thing going on where you have all the power of the inner world. You're connecting with a sacred place in the inner world. And then you've got the stories, the myths and legends, which for Glastonbury are manifold. So many of them coming together. Even this lovely story of the young Christ coming with his uncle because there was this tin trade from the Mediterranean going around through the Straits of Gibraltar and round to the southwest of England. And so the legend goes that Joseph of Arimathea would take Jesus as a young man, a young boy, on his missions, his trading missions to Glastonbury, uh, and so there's this sense that this land has been blessed in that way. And So that's just one story. But if you can imagine these stories, the actual landscape itself, the earth energies in the land themselves, the wider ceremonial or sacred structure that they're set in, because of course ley lines are connecting all these sacred sites, and it's part of a wider landscape which includes, Stonehenge and Avebury and West Kennet Long Barrow and Silbury Hill and so on. So you get this beautiful kind of magical landscape that you're traveling in, and you could travel in it physically, but you can also travel in the inner world, and then you start to look at the interaction it has on your own energy system, and that's such an exciting and enriching sort of way to work in these realms.
Hmm. So many of these structures, the stone circles, of all of these were sort of designed to elicit certain shifts in the inner states that then translate in the outer world, it sounds like.
Exactly. I mean, I think a really easy way to grasp that is to think about how you feel, say, when you're on a beach holiday down by the sea, or when you're on a mountain holiday, or when you visit the mountains. It's such a different feeling, isn't it? And in fact, we kind of all, I think, intuitively know that if you wanted to say write a book or, think really clearly, you'd probably think about, going up. You go up the mountains. You rent a little place in the mountains or in the forest up in the by the tree line or something like that, because the air's fresh and the energy is really clear there, and you can think clearly. If you'd been going through a really kind of busy time and you just wanted to hang loose and relax and recharge, you might go down to the sea with the sun and the sand and the sea. So we know that different places feel different. I mean, just, even in our own house, there might be a certain spot in our house. I love sitting in this part of our house. This is the kind of library part of the house. And it's just got a lovely connection for me to learning and scholarship and magic and spirituality. So it's a question of using this experience that we know, and kind of fine tuning it.
Hmm. Beautiful. Are there more aspects of the Druidic tradition that you want to sort of start to open for us here today, so you can get a little bit of a preview of where you're going to be going in your upcoming course?
Well, sure. There's another, as if this isn't enough, as it were. There's another kind of layer to this. There's another dimension to this, which is about time. Because we all know, how Einstein's amazing discovery that space and time are not two entirely separate phenomena, but it's space-time. They're fundamentally united. So if you think about pilgrimages in spiritual traditions, they always or very often take place at certain times, special times. You do special pilgrimages. And that's because time and space are so related. As spiritual beings, we incarnate into a body, uh, and we find ourselves living within time and space. Those are the two kind of coordinates that we function within. And so there's a relationship between space and time in this way. And we'll be exploring that. So, for instance, we start the first module of the course at this magical time of Samhain, the end of October, when a new year is set to begin in the Druid tradition, where we open up to the wisdom of the ancestors and the teachings of the ancestors. And this is really connected with those places in the magical landscape which are known as dolmens, or sacred burial chambers. Perhaps the most famous of which is Newgrange in Ireland, which is faced with white quartz crystal and which is oriented to the winter solstice sunrise. So, what a perfect place to travel in the inner world, and what a perfect time at Samhain to travel to this place, this great kind of belly of the Mother Goddess, to go into this place and to receive the first light of the new year, and to enter into and to work with the root chakra. You see, so that everything's connected in this wonderful way. The root chakra, the ancestors being rooted in the land, connected to the depths, connected to the ancestors.
Hmm.
Um, And so we're going to be working with all of this. Yeah.
It's so exciting. I love the synchronization with the earth, with cycles, with our bodies, with nature. Really, it's such an embodied path of spirituality and healing. So, do you want to share a little bit more about like some of the worship, the ways of worship you were kind of sharing in the sacred groves and how you're bringing in a certain poetic contribution? I know that the arts are just very central to the cultivation of your spiritual life in the Druidic tradition as well.
Yes, absolutely. The arts are absolutely central. One of the reasons why I love the Druid tradition is because the arts have such a central place. You know, the way we tend to separate art and nature. You know, nature is the wild and it's out there, and then art is kind of sophisticated, civilized cultures. You get all the art galleries, and the theaters are in towns, so it's kind of associated as well with the kind of urban, sophisticated life. Nature is out in the country, and you know all the rest of it. So they're separated. And what Druidry says is no, no, no. It's like art is natural, and it's in our natures to be creative. And you know, a flower produces beautiful petals and colors. We produce beautiful poems and songs and stories. That's the way the spirit and the divine flows through us, and so it brings them both together. And so very often in Druid practice we will have the arts in some form or another, and often it's with the spoken word, because there's a way again that both in the Eastern Dharmic traditions and in the Western tradition, Celtic spirituality and Druidry, words are understood to be magical and to be powerful. And so we use the magic of words, and in that first exercise that we did, you know, when I spoke the poetry of Amajin and Krishna, and gave that quote from a tantric sutra, we could see how powerful it can be. You know, when we're just invited to be a cup with the elixir of peace flowing into us, it immediately has an effect on our energy fields. You know, so we're combining, if you like, the power of words, the power of images, the power of perfumes and scents, uh, and all together to really affect changes in consciousness. But not only for ourselves, but also for others and for the earth too, because what a central teaching is that it's not a one-way street. It's not just all about us, that we have a relationship with the earth. And
Mm.
relationships by definition are bidirectional. They're two ways. It's
Mhm.
give and take. And so we believe that we can influence the earth and the energies of the earth as well as being influenced by them.
Mm. Well, it's really clear this tradition is such good medicine, and I really had no idea how deeply the roots went into India as well. It's good medicine for our moment to really heal our relationship with each other, the earth, to a more participatory form of spirituality that really is integrated with our bodies and minds and the environment around us. One thing I'd love for you to share a little bit about is just how this is very much a living, vibrant tradition that you don't have to be a member of or exclusive. Like you can be part of whatever religious or spiritual tradition and participate in the Druidic ways. So maybe share just a little bit about the modern expression, how it's still a very vibrant, living tradition.
Sure, exactly, exactly. Well, you know, the one thing to understand about Druidry is it's surprisingly, it's not a belief system. You
Mhm.
know, it's a spiritual orientation that people like Ken Wilber, for instance, I'll talk about metapaths or path, like alchemy. You can have Christian alchemy and you know, Indian alchemy and all sorts of different alchemy. So Druidry is like that. So there are Christian Druids, there are pagan Druids, there are even atheist Druids, people who find the concept of deity kind of doesn't work for them. It's too, you know, too big for them, and it doesn't help them. So all sorts of people are involved in this tremendous revival of Druid spirituality that has about 300 years of history in it, but is rooted way back further down into the ancient past, the pre-Christian past of these honeyed isles, as the British Isles and Ireland were called. Merlin's Enclosure was another name, or Merlin's Isle. Uh, but so for thousands of years, this was an indigenous pre-Christian tradition, With Christianity, it kind of morphed and changed, and some of it was repressed and suppressed, and some of it went in different directions. But about 300 years ago, people became interested in it again. So it has about 300 years of recorded history. And so now it's really vibrant and flourishing because it's a nature spirituality that's a very kind of generous, and it combines scholarship as well. There's a great deal of scholarship in Druidry. Uh, it combines scholarship, a love of the arts with a love of nature. It puts all those together really, and it places trees as very central within that. The idea that the trees can help us and teach us and be our guides and so on. And so we have a community. We have about 37,000 members around the world. We have 300 groups and so on. But you don't have to be a member of a Druid group to really appreciate and to work with the power of Druid teachings. Not at all.
Well, every time I talk to you about the Druidic tradition, it's just more alluring and exciting because it really does feel like it's worked out so many of the deeper shifts in consciousness and spiritual practice that we need to really be in right relationship with each other, the earth, and in a very integrated and holistic fashion. So let's talk about your upcoming course a little more explicitly, since it's a really unique opportunity to receive these wisdom teachings and practices in a way that also lights up our imagination and sparks an exciting journey in consciousness, and ultimately pilgrimages as well can be informed by this. So Philip has agreed to teach a brand new course for Shift. It's called Journey to Merlin's Isle to receive the 7 gifts of the Druids. Embark on a sacred inner pilgrimage for grounding, creativity, and spiritual renewal. You can find it at the URL 7giftsofthedruids.com, 7giftsofthedruids.com. It's a 7-week program. There are no prerequisites. You don't have to be a druid. You have to just be curious and interested to explore and receive the benefit and blessing of this lineage. So I would love to have Philip, you share a bit about some of your intentions for the program and what people will come away with, and then we'll go through the modules and give a preview of what's coming.
Yeah, well, what I hope that this course is going to help with is you'll get a real kind of orientation to this path of spirituality, a sense of its kind of dimensions and potential. And then what we'll do is we'll take a pilgrimage across Merlin's Isles, and we'll go to Ireland and Scotland and Wales and England, and we'll work together with landscape features, with caves and dolmens and stone circles and mountain tops and holy wells, and really experience them in as deep a way as possible, and deep help work with them to connect with our energy centers and our energy field so that they can bring insights to us and help us to really grow and change and transform.
Fantastic. Module 1 is called Connect to the Grounding and Nourishing Power of the Ancestral Tradition of Druidry for Strength and Stability. Can you share more about that module?
Okay, so in this module, we're going to go to Newgrange in Ireland. We're going to celebrate this time of Samhain, the time of the ancestors. We're going to uh, do a ritual for that, and we're going to really connect with our own root chakras and the earth, and the gift there's that one of belonging, of really getting a sense of belonging and of connection to the earth and stability. Because without that stability and without that sense of being at home in the world, it's really hard to progress. And it's often quite hard to feel at home in this world because this world can be very difficult. And so this is kind of basic work to be done right at the beginning of the course with the help of the ancestors. Yeah.
Module 2, Travel to the Sacred Well to enhance creativity and your experience of flow in your life.
Yes, so there we're going to be traveling to Glastonbury and to Chalice, deepening the experience that you've had in this webinar, and discovering more about the stories and the myths, and working with the sacral chakra and with our flow of creativity and with this mysterious elixir that the Druids work with of Arwen.
Module 3, Journey to the Ring of Brodgar and Orkney to build a storehouse of power in your solar plexus.
Well, the Ring of Brodgar is just the most amazing place. It's like this extraordinary kind of spiritual kind of battery, although that doesn't do it justice. But it's the way the solar plexus center is the place where you build up your sense of power and strength for and courage in this world and so on. And we'll be working with the power of the stone circle to give us this sense of connection in the solar plexus region of our beings.
Module 4, gather in the sacred grove and approach the heart of the Druid mysteries.
Well, there we meet in the sacred grove, this place of connection between our hearts, our individual hearts, and the heart of the world and the divine heart, if you like, at the source. And there's a way in which the sacred grove brings in the all the joy and the love of the animal world and the plant world, so that we can commune together and with our community, with our fellow humans and the departed ones as well. Everyone. It's a wonderful place of coming together in the heart.
Module 5, enter the sacred valley to reach the cave of song and embody your authentic expression.
Well, here we're moving up to the throat chakra, which is linked to our capacity to be creative, to express ourselves fully in this world. And this is where so many people feel that for whatever reason they haven't quite been able to express themselves fully. And so we'll work with that, and we'll work again with the elixir of Arwen. There's this very deep and special relationship between the sacral chakra and the throat chakra. And we'll be working with that connection because remember, there are ley lines or meridians connecting all of these in the landscape and within our own energy fields. And all the time, we'll be working with this relationship between the landscape energy field and our own human energy field. And here we'll be working with our capacity to fully express ourselves and be creative in the world, in this life now.
Module 6, walk the spiral path of the sacred mound to awaken higher perspective and purpose.
Yes, so here, of course, we come to the brow chakra, this place of vision. We'll be working with the power of the eagle and of stories that help us. In all of these modules, there'll be stories, the ancient stories, to enliven this work and to help us connect. And here we'll be ascending the sacred mounds that are to be found all over the honeyed islands, Merlin's Isles. And we'll be working in this way to develop our capacity for clear vision.
And finally, Module 7, reaching the 5 temples of the holy mountains.
So here in this, we come to the crown chakra, and we will be exploring 5 holy mountains in Wales. We'll be traveling to these 5 mountains and receiving the gifts and the blessings that they can bring us to really help us connect to the source, to the divine, and to the one.
Well, what an exquisite program. And I know this is going to be such a deep spiritual healing adventure, and you're an amazing emissary for this tradition too. And I think this is a tradition that all of us really should have an exploration of and a deep understanding of, since it's really good medicine for our moment. And some of the imbalances that have been created in Western society really are addressed in a very profound and beautiful way with the Druidic tradition. So again, the whole program is laid out in detail at 7giftsofthedruids.com. And you've heard about the 7 modules. There is more detail on the page at 7giftsofthedruids.com. There's also you also get other dimensions in this program. You get time to ask your questions live. You'll get recordings of every session, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts. There are weekly practices that you're going to be able to do at home. There's a community group to support you and deepen your experience and build connections around the world, as well as small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, Philip has been very generous with a number of extra bonuses. There's a audio called Wild Wisdom Elemental Meditations. That's our first bonus. Philip, you want to share more about those elemental meditations?
Sure, they've got beautiful music with them, and they really go deeply into to help you receive the gifts of each of the elements. So there's a meditation for earth, air, fire, and water, and then there's a meditation that weaves them all together like that. And yeah, I think they're really well. I love them myself as well, even though I created them. So
That's great. Well, it's great. It's a great sign that you actually use and love them yourself. So there's a second bonus, which is an Earth Mysteries webinar with David Furlong. And want to share more about that bonus?
Sure, yes, that's I had the opportunity to have a fantastic conversation with David Furlong, who's a PhD in this topic, and he's dedicated his whole life, over 50 years, of work in the field of earth energies, earth chakras, ley lines, and we really dive in detail into this topic with him.
Exciting bonus. And then there's actually a third bonus that is your special bonus. If you choose to move forward by midnight tonight, you're going to get a special bonus. It's called the Magic of Awen, Elixir of the Druids. This is a PDF that Philip has created. Philip, you want to share more about today's special bonus?
Yes, so this is a little book of a series of meditations that I've received and that I have articulated in this with some beautiful woodcuts to illustrate them. So they're inspiring thoughts and ideas around Arwen, which is the key elixir of the Druids, uh, that is seen as coming from the goddess, from the muse, to inspire us.
What a cool extra bonus. So that's your special bonus if you choose to move forward today, the Magic of Awen, Elixir of the Druids. So it's clearly going to be such a beautiful program and really powerful. And we've kept the investment just very accessible as well. It's just three payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with one payment of $349. The course is going to start October 30th, and which is auspicious timing in relationship close to Samhain. And then the course sessions are going to be Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and that time works very well for England and Europe as well. So even if you can't make those live times, though, you can still get the full value with the recordings, the transcripts, and also participating in the community. So there's some beautiful testimonials on the page from people who have taken previous courses with Philip at Shift, and Philip has never failed to teach me more with every course of his I take. Vast knowledge and experience is far above any teacher I've studied with. I found the impact of Philip's courses on myself amazing. So many grateful testimonials of Philip's teaching, his practices, and the authenticity of this wisdom transmission that I really see as such important medicine for our times. So you're in very good hands and very seasoned hands, and you will, I think, be very blessed if you choose to move forward. So again, it's all at sevengiftsofthedruids.com, sevengiftsofthedruids.com, and you'll get that special bonus if you moved forward today called the Magic of Awen, Elixir of the Druids. So Philip, really beautiful hour. Thank you for your time and wisdom. Anything that's still on your heart you want to share with folks who are considering doing the full course with you?
Well, I've really enjoyed talking with you, Stephen. And what I love about the Shift courses is because they're live, we there's this sense of community, and we can immediately discuss. We have experience. I always start. I go pretty fast into an experience so that we can really live this material, and then as having come out of it, we can start to look at some stories and what it means for us today and how we can apply it in our lives and so on. And then we have time to just discuss and share together. So I really enjoy that and enjoy working with the group that comes together each time. It's fabulous.
Fabulous. Well, again, it's all at sevengiftsofthedruids.com, and you'll get that special bonus on the Magic of Awen when you sign up by midnight tonight. And I think you'll be very blessed. So thank you, Philip, for offering this course. Thank you for offering your wisdom, and really thank you for preserving and extending and bringing the Druidic tradition to a wider audience. It's such an important stream of wisdom, and we learned a lot today about how it's also part of the root system for a lot of the Indian wisdom traditions as well. So,
Mm.
what a blessing. So, thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Blessings to you too. Yeah.
Many blessings. See you.
Yeah.
See you all in the course.